Here are the 5 simple and easy to do habits that made me fluent in English fast. The first one is texting in English. I remember when I first started learning English, I had lots of friends, right? All of those friends could understand Pashto, which is like my native language, but I would still text them in English because they also knew English to really kind of improve my English. Basically, I wanted to get as much practice as I possibly could. So even if I would ask for like my homework or I would ask how they are, I would just text in English. Even if they would reply in my native language, I would text them back in English. And I remember some of them telling me like, Asim, what happened to you? You're doing everything in English. You're texting me in English all the time. But that's what I was doing to really, get as much English in my surrounding as possible. And that should be your goal. You need to be surrounded by English all the time. You need to be using English all of the time. Basically, you need to live English instead of just learning it. If you just tell yourself, oh, I'm just learning English and I'm only doing it like 1 hour a day, then it's not gonna work. You need to immerse yourself in English. You need to do everything in English, including texting in English, and that's how you really, get as much practice as you possibly can. The second habit that I had that made me fluent in English was listening to podcasts. I remember whenever I would go to school from like my home, the school was like 40 to 45 minutes by bus. It was like far away. So whenever I would get on the bus, I would put on my AirPods and I would just listen to podcasts in English. And that really helped me a lot because like I didn't have a lot of time to do like 2 hours or 3 hours of listening at home. So what I would do is I would combine like going on a bus to school with listening to podcasts. So like on one way I would listen to like 45 minutes and then on my way back from school to home I would again listen to podcasts in English for 45 minutes, and that like 1 to 1.5 hour of practice, listening practice, really took my English to the next level, I believe. The third habit that I had that made me fluent in English fast was talking to myself. I recommend this to every single beginner. When I was a beginner, I used to be like really shy and afraid of speaking English because I thought if I make mistakes, people are gonna laugh at me. They're gonna, call me a beginner. They're gonna think my English is bad. They're gonna think like I'm not educated or something like that. I had all these like irrational fears about learning and speaking English. So what I would do is I would just talk to myself every evening for like 20 minutes. I would lock my room door just to make sure my mom doesn't enter. Because if she saw me like talking to myself in English, she would probably think I'm crazy or something because it's kind of weird. But every evening for like 20 minutes, I would open my mouth and I would just speak about any topic for just like 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, however long that topic would take, and I would just speak. I wouldn't care about mistakes. I wouldn't care about other people's opinions because there was nobody to, judge me. I recommend this now, but there are better ways to actually do this. There are so many like AI tools that you can speak to. So it doesn't have to be weird anymore like it was for me. You can like speak to ChatGPT or any other AI that you know. The point is you need to open your mouth and speak. You need to get used to speaking English because if you don't, you're not going to improve. Simple as that. The fourth habit that I had that really leveled up my English speaking was correcting my mistakes. And this was a big one for me because a lot of people just say practice, but practice alone is not enough. Like you need to correct your mistakes as well because if you don't, you're not going to get to the next level because you're going to keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again in your conversations. For correcting my mistakes, what I did was I had a friend who was like really advanced in English. I would talk to him and I would tell him if I make a mistake, like tell me, correct me, stop me in the middle of the conversation and figure out the mistake for me and, tell me what I'm saying wrong. I would tell this to not only to that friend but to every single person I would speak to. I would phrase it like, hey, my English is not really good. If you catch any mistakes, please point it out for me so that I can, learn it and get better and improve. And you can do the same. Every time you talk to someone, tell them, hey, feel free to stop me and correct me if I make any mistakes in English. And this is going to be great for you because you're going to get better a lot faster. If you just speak and nobody corrects you, you're not going to improve that much. So correct your mistakes. If I could, back in the day, if I could afford like a coach or a tutor or an English teacher who I could talk to specifically for correcting my mistakes, I would probably do it. But I did it alone, and you can probably do it alone as well. You don't need a coach, but if you want, you can like get help from me inside of my private community, which you can check down below in the description. So there's that. The fifth and the last habit that I think really, really made me fluent in English is copying the native speakers. I had this weird habit of like copying people whenever I would listen to like a British person talk. I would just copy them. I would, pause the video or whatever I was watching or listening to, and then I would, repeat what they just said. For the first time, when I heard like a British person say, um, give me a bottle of water or something like this, I remember I learned this phrase and I was like, repeating it over and over again throughout my day. I had this weird obsession with like accents as well, so I would listen to English in like the Scottish accent or the Irish accent or the British accent or the American English or the Australian one. Like I had this weird obsession with like pronunciation and accents. I would listen to English in different accents and then I would try to copy the natives and try to sound like them. And not just copying, by the way, I would also compare my own pronunciation to it. So at that time, I was in school. Whenever my teacher would speak, my teacher had like a really thick Pakistani accent whenever he would speak English. So I would compare my teacher's pronunciation to like the native person's pronunciation, and then I would, find the differences and try to improve myself that way. Or I would just, compare my own pronunciation or my own accent to the native person's accent to really see where I was lacking and, what phrases was I not saying right, and what sounds could I not produce properly. When you learn where you lack, you can really get, better. What gets measured gets improved, right? There's the same in English and with everything in life as well. Now, these habits might seem like very tiny and very small, but due to compounding effect, when you do these habits every single day, when you repeat them every single day for the next like 2 to 3 months, your English will be on a next level. And I saw really, really great improvements as well in my English when I was a beginner, and then I followed these habits and then my English improved like really quickly. Okay, I hope this lesson was helpful. If you really want to know how I became fluent in English, you can watch this video in which I explained like my entire English fluency system, which you can just copy. Okay, bye for now. See you in the next video.